This video is sponsored by Right Stuff.
Okay, giant robots are fucking dope, and because they're dope, I'm gonna tell you how we got to there in the first place. Let's take that again. Off to a good start. Whatever you're a fan of in the anime world, it is undeniable that giant robots are one of the most ubiquitous tropes in all of anime. And that is because, as I said previously, giant robots are fucking dope. Mecha anime is not just entertainment, it's a $1 billion a year industry, which means it's evil, but it's also a beloved institution with dedicated museums and statues and a full-on cultural phenomenon. Just look at all the giant robots outside of anime. You got Pacific Rim, Transformers, Bender. Bender was big one time, right? He's big. He's big, right? Mechs are huge, and they're not going anywhere. Anime continues to iterate on the genre, with 2018's Darling in the Franxx among the more recent hits. But how do we get from this to this? This to this? Like a lot of anime tropes, giant robots are mostly a post-World War II thing, but earlier events played a part in their evolution also. Starting in the Meiji era, there was a major tech boom in Japan, with the former Tokugawa shogunate out and major factory building and westernization in. Dissolving the old feudal regime included eliminating the samurai class, but the Bushido Code of Honor cast a long shadow over Japanese culture, even as new industrial technology like battleships and trains filled the void they left behind. Shows like Gundam later revolutionized mecha by bringing those things full circle, basing storylines and designs directly on samurai mythology and ethics. So in that way, giant robots are a facet of Japanese culture that combines past and future and ignores all the shit in between. Haha!
I don't know if that's true.
It's true, I said it's true. Japan's first ever piloted giant robot, the villain Dainingen Tanku, appeared in 1931 in the Kamishibai Ogonbato. For reference, Dainingen Tanku literally translates to large human tank, which is very creative. Very creative. Masaki Sakamoto's 1934 Tanku Tankuro, an inspiration for Doraemon and Astro Boy, was a kid's manga hero who pulled random weapons from a hole in his stomach to fight the villainous Black Helmet, which sounds a lot like My Hero Academia's Momo Yaoyorozu meets Spaceballs, or Naoto from Fooly Cooly meets Spaceballs. Spaceballs is the only reference that fits in this joke format. A 1943 propaganda cartoon, The Science Warrior Appears in New York, showed an operated steam mecha crushing New York City, which honestly sounds kinda dope. There's a theory that Japan's modern robot obsession is how they reckon with post-World War II trauma. While US sci-fi became cynical about technology, Japan's brutal loss at the hands of that tech seemed to make them a lot more humble and hopeful. Occupation forces would censor anything overtly military or samurai related, so sci-fi had to go in a different, arguably more creative direction. That direction, kids. It's kids. What I mean is, mecha anime from this time featured a lot of young protagonists turning murderous machines into cool heroes, like 1960s Tetsujin 28 or Niju Hachigo, created by Mitsutaro Yokoyama. Boy detective Shotaro Kaeda is handed the remote for a top-secret World War II weapon by his dying father and turns it into a helpful civilian robot, which sounds like the plot of Spider-Man Far From Home, which is a good movie, and I will not read that line. It's a good movie. Mecha TV shows hit the US earlier and more frequently than other anime genres, starting with Astro Boy in 1963 and Tetsujin 28, renamed Gigantor, in 1964, which later inspired Iron Giant, by the way. That was followed by an 80s boom of stateside super robot and space opera shows like Voltron, Robotech, and Tranzor Z, a mangled version of Mazinger. But for a long time, giant robots didn't need human pilots or handlers to do the things that robots do. In 1972, Go Nagai, the man behind Devilman and Cutie Honey, invented a new subgenre with Mazinger Z, the first super robot, a genre which often features semi-magical, one-of-a-kind robots created by ancient civilizations or mad geniuses that are piloted by scruffy underdogs. Instead of autonomous or remote-controlled robots, operators sat inside the machines, specifically in their heads, the brain part. Protagonist Koji Kabuto's last name means helmet, or more specifically the ornate war helmets worn by samurai. Nagai came up with the concept after watching a traffic jam and thinking how dope it would be for drivers to avoid the jam by stepping over it in a giant robot. It's a thought that I've had frequently, so like maybe if I was born in a different time. Yeah, I don't know. Originally called Energy Z, Mazinger was renamed Demon God, Ma meaning demon and Jin meaning deity, echoing earlier Mecha's ideas that robots could be used for good or evil depending on who operated them, and also emphasizing the magical aspects that set Super Robot apart from the more realistic, real robot mecha pioneered by Gundam in 1979. Mazinger was a truly Japanese creation, made from Chogokin Zeto, forged from Japanium, an element found only in the sediment of Mount Fuji. Japanium. The show started a craze for a new type of kit toy named Chogokin after the super alloy. That craze continues to this day, perpetuated by people like me who spend a lot of money buying Gundam model kits, which are the most fun way to think about how much plastic there is in the ocean. There's a lot of plastic. And I'll take this opportunity to send you right on over to rightstuffanime.com. They've been around for 32 years and have stuff that you cannot find anywhere else. They're also the US licensors of Gundam Wing, so they have the freshest kits and a sales section so enticing that you won't get away without emptying your wallet. But that's another essential otaku experience. Is that how you wanted it? Is that what you wanted me to do? Is that what you wanted? Are you happy now? Adrian?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Cool. With the popularity of model kits, as expected, the industry became all about merchandise. Nagai contributed to a huge merchandising boom after toy companies told him they needed more characters in each story to sell more toys, which is kind of how most anime got to America, honestly. Nagai responded with 1974's GetintheRobot, where not one but three strong-willed teens, each pilots a jet, eagle, jaguar, and bear, which come together to form the main hero bot. I don't get this joke here, because of course only teens would fearlessly adopt a technology that requires them to sit inside a metal death machine. I guess I get it. Use that take. I think that's funny. Okay. It was the start of a combo robot craze that included 1976's Combattler V, 1977's super confusing and cheap super combining magical robot Gingeyser, and 1984's Voltron, which itself is a combination of several shows, including 1981's Beast King Go Line, and also is the inspiration for most of the activities of the Wu-Tang Clan.
So when you see me on the reel, forming like Voltron, remember I got deep like a Navy SEAL.
Now's a good time to point out a pattern in mech style that I have discussed in the past. Mukokuseki, or statelessness, is as much part of mecha as it is every other anime genre. Characters like Evangelion's Rei, Bubblegum Crisis' Nene Romanova, or Macross's Roy Fokker are drawn with the same, arguably diverse, impossible hairstyles and eye colors that you'll find in most anime. Features that dissociate characters from any specific ethnicity or nationality, especially African. Where the wafu or Japaneseness of mecha shines through is the robot design, which is dope as hell. Daitar and Zambot, and more famously Gundam's designs, are strikingly similar to the elaborate samurai armor of the Edo period, the same armor that fell out of fashion just as Japan jumped into industrialization. Bushido Code says a samurai's body is as much an instrument to be used as their sword, so it makes sense that mechs, extensions of their human operators, would reflect samurai ethos and appearance. Kunio Okawara, anime's first mechanical designer, said Gundam's mobile suits were specifically samurai-based, including chonmage or top knots and Vifin Maidate family crests at the front of kabuto helmets. Like that. Like that. And just so everybody knows, that's the easiest part to break on a model. I've learned that the hard way several times. It sucks. By the late 70s, early 80s, most mech anime took place in distant futures where humanity had either conquered space travel or rebuilt centuries after a cataclysm, like in 1977's space battleship Yamato, released in 1979 in the US as Star Blazers after Star Wars. Star Wars, Star Blazer, you get it. While it was not a mech show, it created a public appetite for serious works, paving the way for a lot more realistic space anime, space operas. 1979's groundbreaking Mobile Suit Gundam is considered the first real robot show. Like Yamato, Gundam was a sprawling space opera, but unlike Yoshiyuki Tomino's previous works, like 1975's mystical Yusha Raideen, they were realistic, albeit larger, machines of wars, and pilots were soldiers and not hero kids. They were still kids, just not heroes. And also they were not robots, they were mobile suits. Mobile suits is because most suits are not mobile. You guys get it? Okay. During its original run, Gundam was on the verge of cancellation, but kits of plastic Gundam figures, or Gunpla, created to a standardized scale and hyper-detailed, proved so popular that the show was brought back. Cause toys. In fact, kit shortages caused riots outside Tokyo department stores, which is f***ed up, and what the Popeye's chicken sandwich is doing now.
Is that really what's happening?
That's really what's happening. Somebody got stabbed today.
Oh my god.
For more on the Gundam craze, Crunchyroll's History of Gunpla video is a must-watch. Gundam became its own institution, arguably bigger than Star Wars in some places. Over the next 8 years, Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam, Mobile Suit Gundam Double Zeta, and a number of OVA and series rolled out, and the franchise is still going very strong to this day. Like, very strong. Gundam has become such a deep symbol of otaku culture that the RX-78 Gundam appeared in 2018 superfan nostalgia trip Ready Player One, which I did not see, where it teams up with the Iron Giant to fight Mecha Godzilla. If Gundam's realism moved Mecha away from kid stuff, 1982's Super Dimension Fortress Macross tied it to modern Japan's city pop economic boom. Lin May, who is fake, a fake fictional character, which is fake, became one of anime's first idols after her fake fictional songs became real-world hits. So think about that when you're thinking about stuff. Protagonist and pilot Hikaru Ichijio likes building models and kits himself. He's just like me. The show's real robot details, titillating love triangle, and willingness to get wacky, and other phrases that let you know that I did not write this script, were a winning combination.
Did you have to say that?
Yes, making Macross another long-running hit. The show was heavily re-edited and merged with other mecha/invading alien series, Genesis Climber Mospeada and Super Dimension Cavalry Southern Cross, which I've had to say thousands of times, to create the US show Robotech in 1985, which is actually pronounced Robotech, because they were old people. Robotech. While Macross fans and its creator debate the legitimacy of Robotech, the edit was wildly popular with kids and adults, especially women, and was the definitive anime for a lot of Americans. Contrast that with an American mecha, 1984's Transformers, produced by Hasbro as a long-form commercial for their toy line, if it wasn't clear enough what is going on here, and which was itself based on Diaclone and Microman toys by Japanese toy manufacturer Takara. Mech and suits also shrunk as the economy grew, with an increasing femme but not feminist influence. 1987's Bubblegum Crisis featured fitted hard suits, which were designed in such a way that they had titties on them. And built-in heels for comfort. Women comfort.
Oh my god.
Back in 1987, when the robots had the titties on.
You're gonna kill me, Yedoye.
I'm gonna kill Adrian. This is a threat. After the bubble burst in 1991, it was time for some introspection. Hideki Anno, a Gainax founder who'd previously worked on 1988 Space Mecha Gunbusters, turned the genre on its head with 1995's Neon Genesis Evangelion. The defining mecha of the 90s, it was made for and by otaku, with Anno putting his own struggles with depression and love of the genre into the story. While Evangelion has everything a teen boy could want, amazing action sequences, plenty of fan service, and a lot of cute shit with poster gal Rei Ayanami, it was also extremely self-aware, and many fans felt accused when the series suggested that audience and Anno stand-in Shinji Ikari needed to leave his shallow navel-gazing behind, face himself, and join the world. In other words, get in the robot! 2007's Gurren Lagann was more of a crowd pleaser for Gainax, a brash, fun bomb dropped in the middle of Japan's emo moe boom, and bringing machismo back to mecha with pilot mentor Kamina. The show's style left a mark on its creators even after they split from Gainax to form Studio Trigger. Kill la Kill's jokingly been called Gurren Lagann with girls, the joke being that Gurren Lagann is essentially Gunbusters with guys. The mecha genre also went from self-reflection to self-parody with shows like 2011's Tiger and Bunny, mocking the constant commercial aspect, turning mecha concepts of heroism into a corporate-sponsored competitive sport hinging on capitalist influence. Sounds like a lot of fun. America! As classic shows came up on anniversaries, reboots were inevitable. 2008's Macross Frontier dips deeper into political intrigue than previous iterations. Gundam went all the f*** out for their upcoming 40th anniversary, with original creator Yasuhiko coming back for Mobile Suit Gundam The Origin and SD Gundam World Sangoku Soketsuden, based on classic Chinese novel Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Though it's not a social phenomenon limited to Japan, 2018's Darling in the Franxx continues the anti-intergenerational mecha theme Evangelion began, where untrustworthy adult figures lord over youth created for exploitation, keeping them in the dark and taking away their futures for their own gain, as adults do. This latest twist brings mecha full circle from its origins, where giant robots were giant, physical manifestations of youthful, kid-controlled righteousness in an optimistic, post-war world. In an ultimate full circle move, mech technology is entering the real world, with fans of the genre getting engineering degrees and trying to build the bots they love so much. And fighting them physically. Japan and the US did that. Google it. It's scary. I'm Yedoye, and this is GetintheRobot, your anime explainer. Anime explained.
People in the comments are gonna be like, Evangelion is not a mech anime. They are flesh creatures.
Yeah, I'm prepared for that, and I do not care.
Can I keep that?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.